Hello again. Today I'm here with three more book reviews. They are going to be University by Bentley Little, Later by Stephen King, and Violet by Scott Thomas. So let me do my intro and then I will be right back. And I am back. So, Violet is a Scott Thomas book. If you don't know, Scott Thomas wrote Kill Creek, which I really did enjoy. The Kill Creek book that was a winner here of the Horror Book of 2017. Definitely kind of like a haunted house, a haunted story. And I wanted to read the other book here that was Violet. So let me read what Violet is about. For many children, the summer of 1988 was filled with sunshine and laughter, but for 10-year-old Chris Barlow, it was her chance to say goodbye to a dying mother. 3 decades later, loss returns. Her husband killed in a car accident, and so Chris goes to the place where she first knew pain, to that summer home overlooking the crystal water of Lost Lake. It's there that Chris and her 8-year-old daughter will make a stand against grief. But a shadow has fallen over the quiet town of Payson, Kansas. Beneath its surface, an evil has grown, and inside that home where Chris Barlow last saw her mother, an old friend awaits her return. Okay, I really like this story, actually. This and Later actually do share... This and Later actually do share something in common as far as both being single parents and dealing with a child. And Violet is actually from the mother's perspective, and Later would be more from the child's perspective. But Violet is, again, basically kind of a haunted story about this ghost Violet that you find out more about, and how Chris is connected to Violet. And I did really like the way Scott Thomas... Do I think it's as good as Kill Creek? No. I do not think this is as good as Kill Creek. But I did really enjoy this, and it makes me definitely want to look for more Scott Thomas and see what else Scott Thomas is going to be doing in the future. Right now, all Scott Thomas has is these two books. But I definitely enjoyed Violet. I think it is a well put together book. Slow in some spots, I will admit. It actually does have a little bit in common with Mosquito Man that I reviewed before. It was kind of interesting how they both had something in common. But I really did enjoy Violet. I think it's a well done book. If you like Kill Creek, I don't see why you wouldn't like Violet. I do like the way Scott Thomas writes the characters, especially the way he writes Sadie, which is the girl for Chris and Violet and the other people around the town. And again, it just has this creep factor that really kind of builds. And Violet to me was a really good story, and I would highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in a haunted type of extraterrestrial, I guess. Not extraterrestrial, that's bad. A haunted type of character. There's also a mystery about missing girls. And you find out what's going on with Violet, with these missing girls, with Chris, and with Sadie. And it's definitely a story about family. And I think it's just a good story. And speaking of that, I will actually go right to Later by Stephen King. Let me read this one here. Sometimes growing up means facing your demons. The son of a struggling single mother, Jamie Conklin just wants an ordinary childhood, but Jamie is no ordinary child, born with an unnatural ability his mom urges him to keep secret. Jamie can see what no one else can see and learn what no one else can learn, but the cost of using his ability is higher than Jamie can imagine, as he discovers when an NYPD detective draws him into a pursuit of a killer who has threatened to strike from beyond the grave. Later is Stephen King at his finest and terrifying and touching story of innocence lost and the trials that test our sense of right and wrong. With echoes of King's classic It, Later is a powerful haunting, unforgettable exploration of what it takes to stand up for evil in all the faces it wears. And yes, it does have it does have a connection to it. There is a connection in this story to it. If you're a fan of it, there is a mild connection. Well, there is a connection to it in this story. But what I liked about this is basically this child, which you haven't talked about here, basically can see dead people. And they have to tell the truth when he sees these dead people. And of course, it does give him a little extra advantage in certain ways of things. But that's pretty scary to see a dead person, especially a child seeing, say a person in a car wreck or somebody who is, disfigured. You see them as they were when they died. So whatever they were wearing, whatever they look like after, they, say somebody shot somebody in the head, you'll see that they have a bullet hole in their head, and you'll be able to talk to them. And it's a really interesting the way Stephen King sets up this kid and this character and brings him through to adulthood, kind of. It's Stephen King doing what Stephen King does best, putting kids in jeopardy. He just is good at that. I hate to say it, but when Stephen King writes a book, putting kids in jeopardy, that's what Later was. I was really impressed with this. Plus, it's a very short book for Stephen King, a 252-page book. For him, that's almost like a novella. It's that hard case imprint, hard crime imprint for Later. Again, he just does this usually on the shorter books. And like I said, I really did like this book. I was actually pleasantly surprised, because sometimes Stephen King can let me down lately, and reading this reminded me of why I still read Stephen King. Why a lot of people still read Stephen King, because he can still put out a really creepy, interesting story. And again, I'm not gonna gush too much about it, which I've already done, but I really think this is obviously another 4-star to me, a 4-star Stephen King book. You see the ratings of this thing; it's pretty high up there in the ratings, and I kind of agree with most of the people here. I think it is one of his best. Now, I would say it's definitely one of his top books in my mind, especially with the length of the book and the way the book is done. If you were thinking about being on the fence, if you didn't know if you wanted to read this, because I actually didn't know what to expect from this, especially with the crime moniker. I wasn't really sure. This is a horror book. He even talks about how this is a horror book in the story. And I really liked Later by Stephen King. It is, to me, if you're a fan of Stephen King, it's definitely a must read. It is a must read Stephen King book. Don't think about the other books that I've already reviewed I didn't like that much. This one, hands down, I really enjoyed it and glad I read it. So, and like I said, Violet and Stephen and Later both have strong women and a single parent home, but Later is differently as far as based on the kid's perspective, and the kid is a lot stronger than in Violet, where it's the mother's perspective. Now, on my quest of reading Bentley Little, the next book on my list of Bentley Little books I read is University. Let me read this one. Once the Southern California campus was praised for its high honors and distinguished tradition, but this semester the esteemed institution is going through a change. This semester UC Brea is really coming alive. In a dark campus parking lot, a female student senses a presence, but it's too late to scream. An unnatural appetite possesses a school janitor who lingers in the stairwell waiting. And after nightfall, the 6th floor library is strictly forbidden. Anyone who goes there knows why. Because something at UC Brea wants to teach the students a lesson. This was, I believe, originally called Night School. And when you have a Bentley Little book, a lot of Bentley Little books have sexuality in them. Usually it is sexual horror. And University is definitely no exception to that. In fact, University is pretty much that on steroids. This book has a lot of sexual assault, sexual, deviance. There is child rape and molestation, and there is just some really weird sexuality in this book. Which, again, I'm used to it with Bentley Little, but this book really took it to a extreme level. The story basically focuses on this professor who somehow, for some reason, is connected to the university, but is able to see all the craziness that's happening in the university. How the library books are these weird, child porn and sex books, and obviously, there's criminal things going on. There's people who are gunmen who go to kill people. There are women who, proposition guys to go into the bathroom and then, basically cut their penis off, and there are very shocking sexual scenes in this book, and we are to believe that this university is kind of, I guess the way they describe it is, the university is a living organism, and somehow these people who are involved in it are getting manipulated and mind control kind of thing, where they start feeling like hatred, and they start feeling these weird emotions while they're on campus. People can't, they want to leave the campus, they can't, like the teachers can't leave the campus. um and unfortunately, this book, I felt like, oh, there's actually a intro here. This university book, I just couldn't get into it. I felt like it was just way too just sexual, and even the presence of the university, like he didn't explain it well. Usually Bentley Little's really good at building this backstory and building this whole big thing, and again, having everybody come together and try to beat this university, which they did, but it wasn't a huge group. The ending was kind of, oh boy, I don't want to ruin it, but I'd say the ending was kind of silly. um I just could not get into this one. For me, this was one of my weakest Bentley Littles, because it just seemed to be, oh, let me write a bunch of like really weird, sexual situations, and again, some horrible situations. And when you find out, oh, this university is evil, you don't even understand why the university is evil. This isn't like when he wrote the book, like The Handyman, or when he wrote Haunted, where there was actually like a reason for the evil. This like the reason, it was just almost, oh, it's just there, and oh, somehow I'm connected to this evil, but I won't explain why. I mean, honestly, I know, I am a fan of Bentley Little, but this one, I was really taken aback by this book, and if I'd be honest with you, I would tell you to skip it. This is probably one of the few Bentley Little books I would tell you that I don't feel it adds anything to being a fan of Bentley Little to read this, unless you do want to get creeped out by some of the sexual scenes in this book, which he actually did wind up creeping me out in some of the sexual scenes in this book, which I guess is something. But as far as an actual horror book, and as far as a book that had a story and had characters that I really cared about, this was not it. And sadly, out of the three books, then this Bentley Little book is definitely one of the ones that I'm going to have to say pass on. And if you have sat through all of this review so far, I want to say thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.